Captain's Log. Supplemental. Stardate 297411.98. Our adventures through the Solthera system have been hampered. We've been contacted by two strange individuals, introducing themselves only as Dani and Kang. I can't tell them much. I'll tell them all I can about the system, the planets here, but I can't mention the Metal Man, or the End Stone. That could reveal far too much. All I know is that I can tell them that this week, Matt Forrester is on the Northern Boards podcast.
Hey,
that's me.
Welcome, Matt.
Hey,
I
Matt,
like to
how's it
imagine that Dani and Kang were like the two aliens from Simpsons.
Yeah. You're
We have a little spaceship, and we're not quite sure what we're doing.
That could be
Because I'm already Kang,
there's a classic
so you can be Kodos.
there's a classic image from one of the early horror house tales from the Treehouse, whatever the fuck it is. The Simpsons thing.
Treehouse
With-
Horror.
Treehouse of
Yeah,
Horrors,
there's
yeah.
the two aliens. There's Kang and the other one,
Yeah.
whatever. And they're holding Homer's head, severed head.
Yeah.
And there's like, I think the spine is hanging out of it.
Yeah.
But like I could be one alien and you're the other alien, and then it's holding like William's head or something. You know what I mean? There's like the third one. That'd be a good one to use actually.
It's surprising they could get away with having that on like a kids show back then.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
guess
the Simpsons got away with a lot.
Yeah.
It didn't happen in Australia because the time slot was already a bit later, but in America, that time slot was a little bit later than the regular one.
Right. I bet a bunch of kids be like, "Dad, please."
That's why they're allowed to push it. But I think it was also labeled as like in America, their rating system is different to like how we do MA15, whatever. But theirs was supposed to be a teenage rating, so it's going to be. It wasn't supposed to be for children, even
Yeah,
though
it was
a
like
lot of
it's probably the one underneath. What is it? NC-17.
Yeah.
Because you get a couple of those Futurama episodes where they were getting a little raunchy as well.
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
capture that teen audience.
And I think because if you put it in, what happens is if you for the rating system in America of how they create shows, if you put too much in it that makes it too bad, then it has to get rated up. But also if you're trying to get rated up, it means if you do enough of whatever it is, it gets forced to a slightly rated up. But then it means people can't be outraged if it does something that they think is for children. You're like, no, it's in the rating for it. So then it's on you
That's
to
the
show your
parents'
children.
fault.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the strategic of like, well, you want to put enough in like the raunchy stuff to make it be bumped up a little bit in rating, but not too much that it blows it out, and then they can't show it till after midnight or whatever it was in the American system. So
Well, welcome on, Matt. We have you back for the episode. Edges of Eternity. We're back on track with a Magic the Gathering within universe storyline, and we're going to have you educate me and Dani. Once again, we are not the big lore heads. We just see spaceships, black holes, stars, and alien creatures, and we're like, hell yeah.
well, before this,
We're
I
just
actually
talking about
used to be very
Futurama.
up on the magic lore, but since we've been having Matt come on and do these, I've just completely like subcontracted all that work to Matt. So I used to read a lot of the stories when they come out. Maybe not so much in the year or two before this, but before when they do the web stories quite consistently online, I would spend a fair bit of time like reading because a lot of it was quite good. Some of it was here or there,
it was hit and
but now
miss.
it's just Matt's problem.
You know what I noticed in the new set? So we'll bring it on to talk about Edges of Eternity, and we're going to
Absolutely.
get the
You got
listeners.
the Loremaster on.
Correct. We got Loremaster Matt on. We're going to get our listeners trying to get up to date again with the storyline.
Yeah.
What I did notice is, apart from Tezzeret, we don't have the presence of any other classic planeswalkers.
Yes, it's true. This set features no prevalent magic, one magic character that's been established previously, no settings we've ever been to before, and like technically speaking, we see a race that we've seen before, the Kavu,
Yeah.
but they're very different than we saw them last time. This is a whole next realm for Magic, which is really interesting as a Magic set. But it does feel weird for me as someone following the Magic story, where the last set, of course, was Final Fantasy, and the next set is Spider-Man. So I'm kind of out of the loop story-wise on either side, and then this one takes place in the middle, and it's totally different.
Yeah.
Right? It's removed from any other plot lines. It has a sort of nebulous start. It has a weird ending. I'll probably talk about that.
Because last in-universe set was Tarkia Dragonstorm, which also was more of a plot establishment set rather than like continuing the storyline. Because all I get from Tarkia Dragonstorm was, here's a little, by the way, this is happening in somewhere in the universe. Ugin's back. We have Nicobolus back probably, and then a couple of these characters finish their storyline. Done. Go back to here where we are now in universes. Now we're back in universes within with Edge of Eternities.
Yeah.
All right, what is the Edges of Eternities?
Yeah. So the Edge of Eternities set and setting is pretty important for our conceptual understanding of the Magic multiverse as a whole. For the whole point up until this sort of set, Magic planes just existed sort of nebulously away from each other. There was the blind eternities between them. We did have lore establishing before that Dominaria, or Dominia Prime as it used to be called, was at the center of the multiverse. It was physically at the center, but we didn't really know what that meant, like how big the multiverse is, what kind of stuff we're going by. The Edge of Eternities, or specifically as they call it, just the Edge. If you imagine the multiverse as a pizza, okay, follow me on this one. You imagine the multiverse as a pizza. All of the different toppings of the pizza are planes, right? Some of them are big, some of them are small, some of them interlink. The cheese or the sauce, something like that, that's the blind
marinara.
Right?
The marinara of the universe.
Yep.
Yes.
We're in our northern board shrimp marinara pizza. Yeah.
Yes. And this particular pizza has a thick crust, right? The crust is the Edge of Eternities. It exists on the outside of the magic multiverse. And it is helmed in by two walls, the Chaos Wall and the Worm Wall. So it basically has an edge that's touching the magic multiverse. That's the Chaos Wall. And it has an edge that's touching something else.
Interesting.
Right? Called the Worm Wall.
So there's two barriers.
Yes.
One to the known universe and one to the unknown.
And they're semi-permeable barriers as well. They're just kind of like space phenomena, right?
So real quickly, are the planes planets, effectively?
Yeah, that was always kind of a big question, right? It was like, can you fly up into the Ravnica sky and eventually reach space? We never knew the answer to that one conclusively. But for the most part, planes are kind of treated as planets, right? Like, you just like, oh, it's like a big scrolling landscape. They have a sky, stars and things like that. So I don't have a clear answer to that question.
Well, you have
Understood.
something like Ixalan, right? Where that is described as a planet and they're on the inside of the planet?
Well, yeah. So, and Ixalan is even sort of like more nuanced than that, in that Ixalan is the name of the island in a giant ocean which has other continents, right? And then we went inside that planet, and then that's when we had the explorers. What was it called? It wasn't Explorers of Ixalan?
Rivals?
Right? No, it wasn't Rivals. It was... What the fuck was that set called? It was blank of
the new
Ixalan.
one. The new one.
Yeah, the second one, right?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Return to Ixalan, right?
Yeah.
We went inside the world, and
We were terrible yes-anding the map. He just stared at us. So we did literally nothing to help him out there.
It's fine. Last time I was on, I did the in response to something that I should have yes-anded, but
I guess in the past it was a bit of, because people have asked this question. This is not like a new question. People have asked, hey, what's actually what are planes really? In the past, and then in the past it was, don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter to the storyline. Now with the whole Edges of Eternities, we're getting a little bit more answers and a little more questions on what's going on. I guess now we kind of know that there is stuff between planes, more or less.
Yeah. So I mean,
but we're still not quite sure if the answer of could you fly a spaceship from Ravnica to Lorwyn?
Yeah,
we don't know if that's a yes or no.
And so probably the answer to that question most likely comes down to the fact that in between planes is the Blind Eternities. Nothing can survive out there.
Yeah.
But then again, that sounds a lot like space.
Yeah.
Right? So it's whatever. The Edge of Eternities doesn't concern itself with these kind of questions about planes. What it concerns itself with is being a fucking huge expanse of space, right? The Edge contains like trillions of galaxies and stars, and inside each of those star systems, multiple planets, right? This set deals with the Solthera system, one star system in that entire group, right? So we get touched upon ideas of the Pinnacle organization, the Summists, and the Monoists. These are like three fairly large concepts, right, that are sort of like all across the edge. The Pinnacle sort of thing is effectively the closest to like a government that they have, and then the other two are religions. So we get this.
So there's organization.
Yeah, there's definitely organization.
Between the alien species, are they coexisting or they're at war?
It's closer to coexisting. There's no real open war.
Right.
So, yeah, the way that this sort of universe constructs itself, because every sci-fi has to have a way that it establishes its things. This does still effectively have the same kind of like hyperdrive. It still has planets and ships and aliens and lasers and all that kind of stuff. They just conceptualize them differently. In this one, you can't move from a sol system, like from a star system, to another star system without the help of a pinnacle station, right? So the pinnacle stations, they've basically invented these giant like space tube cannon things that can like warp light. Kind of like the same thing in Mass Effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Mass Effect. What are they called again? Mass Effect, but they had
what I'm imagining is in like in Spyro, where you drive through the arch and you
and it
fly
goes,
a little bit.
yeah. You get a loading screen. Next place. Because in Mass Effect there are these ancient structures that alien species discover, and with these structures, they enable faster than light travel.
Got it.
Yes, and so in the Edge, those like faster than light traveling stations are owned by a company. The company tries to keep itself largely neutral, but naturally what happens is around these stations, they turn into larger space stations with trade, commerce, that kind of
like
things.
a hub, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're all...
This is very Mass Effect.
Yeah, and they're all regarded as like neutral ground, right? So... But then you have these two major religions, and the major religions are kind of the overarching things for this set. This set is odd to think about because, like I said, it's a fucking enormous setting. The Edge is larger than any concept we've ever had in the multiverse, right?
Because normally, magic sets are pretty grounded. This is a plane. You just imagine this is a theme, and you just imagine it's a planet, and this is all that.
Yeah, and we're going to follow a group of characters, right? And that is technically what we do in this story. We have this huge setting, but then we follow like 4 people.
It's quite the challenge, right? Because Wizards of the Coast basically went, here is an entirely brand new setting with a backdrop, lore, characters, go.
And
quite a lot to digest.
Yeah, and oh man, digesting this story was a trick. It was a real like not a struggle, but it was definitely something that I had to work at. I'm not used to reading a lot of sci-fi. I have read a lot of sci-fi in the past, but this one was different. It has so much jargon. There's so much jargon, and the perspectives that the story is told from are from characters in universe who understand the rules. There is really no kind of like player insert character. The closest that we have is Tezzeret.
This is setting up so that we will be back to the Blind Eternities.
There's
more story to tell.
There's so much here that I feel like they kind of have to, right?
Before we get into like the story part of what's going on here, the setup that I feel that they're trying to create, and it's part marketing, part allowing to open themselves up for storytelling here, is that how I'm imagining the setup is like the current planes that we know. Is like where imagine the Earth is flat. We're gonna go to the flat Earth.
We have the pepperoni.
We'll go back to the pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, pepperoni, right? So you have the pizza, and then all the toppings on there are the planes we know now. You can't travel through the cheese, but you can somehow magically get from one piece of topping to another.
You can teleport.
So in universe that still allows for the storyline of like planeswalkers, weatherlight, etc.
So the planeswalkers can use magic to move between the toppings, but the regular people can't until the portals, right?
Yep.
The things. Now, they can't leave their pizza, theoretically, without going through the crust and then breaking from one side of the crust into the other somehow, which is effectively what Tezzeret's doing.
And what the Phyrexians did with the big world tree thing, right?
Correct,
they were literally punching holes through reality.
But what this allows us to do is, and then you move outside of the pizza, and then you've got space, which is real space that you can use spaceships through, right?
Yep.
And that's what we're in our kind of like edge of eternity, we're in the edge of the eternities, but that's what the eternities is the space. Right. What that means is somewhere else on the table across the way towards you, Kang, is another pizza, and that could be full of toppings, which has its own planes, and they have all their own...
And that's the Marvel multiverse.
Well, it absolutely can be.
The possibility is absolutely there.
The idea is that like 30 years into this game, and we've been following Jace and Ajani, and some of their stories have been told and retold, and you go through that Marvel thing where some characters will die, but you have to bring them back because they are that's what's all the marketing, right? Yep. But it means, from a marketing standpoint of view and a storytelling point of view, you can leave all of these guys behind. You don't have to leave them behind forever because you can come back to this pizza whenever you want. But you could be on this other pizza and be telling a whole new story with all new characters, and it allows you to rewrite some of the rules that people might not like this treatment of Ajani because they've known him for 20 years and they're kind of hurt by the way he's been treated or been turned into.
But it's in an alternate universe, so it's fine. So so you can do like the Ultimate Universe that Marvel did, where you reboot it and you do it mostly the same way and you follow mostly the same characters, but you can actually have Spider-Man die. You can have...
It allows for retelling.
Or even just whole new characters completely that don't have to interact with all these old characters and stuff,
Yeah, exactly. And then at some point you can merge them back together in if you want, right? So yeah, this it's an interesting enough setting. I do quite like the setting. The way that the story is told is tricky. Because like I said, it's told from the perspective of characters that know how everything works. So they use all the jargon, and there's like an entire... You can't... I don't think you can read this story without also reading the Planeswalker's Guide to, which is like they do those as well, right? They're like 2 large articles that come up. That explains all of like... It's like the encyclopedia of the setting. You need to know what weft walking is, what a Drix is, what Alubalai is, right?
Which is a pretty common sci-fi trope. Yeah, like a lot of video games and like really good written books, they will start just throwing terms at you, and you're like, what the fuck does this mean? And the idea is that this thing is so 100% exists and is so permanent and common that it's like, well, the writers is writing it so that they assume that you know what you're talking about.
And
obviously
eventually, as a reader, you'll adjust, you pick up the slang, the terms.
And you do. But
and
then
you develop yourself into the world, right?
Yes.
That way.
And you do, right? Like you do eventually get your way in, like, 3 or 4 chapters in or whatever. But then the story throws yet another wrench, which is the fact that there is a magical MacGuffin in this story called the End Stone. And the End Stone is telling the story. And the End Stone has this ability to, if it doesn't like how things are playing, it can figure out a different way that events could have happened and skip into that probability.
Like the Oracle from Halo. That's right.
Okay, I see this. So this is almost very much a writer's allow them to set up the multiverse, different storylines, like what you were describing, Danny. And it's almost... it's like in Marvel when you have the godlike greater the Beyonder and such, who can just kind of change the storyline at a whim, and that's like the writers being, we need to reset this, go.
So there's this fun thing that the story does, fun, gimmicky, it's kind of up to perspective, where it presents itself as a choose your own adventure. At the end of a variety of different things in which a character could make a choice, it will provide you with a variety of links, and those links will take you to different points in the story.
Ooh, Del Toro quest of Magic the Gathering. I'm on board.
Only one of them is actually where the story goes. The other ones are all dead ends in which the End Stone explains to you, the story didn't play out the way I want it to. Go back to the previous choice.
Yes, you guys ever played those choose your own adventure books when you were a kid, and you chose the wrong one, it just hits a page, you died, go back to page 73.
Except in this one, it's kind of weird because it's like there are no alternate endings. The way that the End Stone conceptualizes time is interesting to me, right? Because instead of thinking about time as like either a linear line or branching paths where they all make alternate realities, the way that the End Stone looks at things is the ending of time is predetermined and set in stone. But there are an infinite amount of probabilities of ways to get there. So it thinks of time as like a cone, right?
And it all funnels to a point.
And it's trying to figure out the most conceivable way to get to that point. So what it can do is it revises the universe, and it can skip between the probabilities. Right?
This is a very sci-fi trope.
The whole, it's a very sci-fi trope. It's just confusing as hell when you're reading the story and you're realizing that at the top heading of a lot of different chapters, it'll say like revision 14. And you'll get to the end of that section and it'll like, oh yeah, characters, were injured. It then goes to the next heading. Those characters are no longer injured, and it says revision 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just skips it.
But it's a new version of that 15.
Yes, it's a new retelling of the universe, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought the plane. Okay, whatever. Right? Like there's a bit where a ship crashes, right, and then characters try to get there in time frantically. And they kind of do, but then they get arrested, and it's clear like the story is going to go in a totally different direction. The next chapter is them flying away, having rescued people, because those like people that were going to arrest them when they got to the ship died of radiation poisoning instead.
Huh.
Right? So it
Surprise cancer.
it revises the situation where it's like, yeah, a ship crashed and we got there first, or the police force got there first. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
It would be a very abstract way to read a story, because this is almost one of those ones that wants to be some sort of interactable medium, right? Like it wants to be told through like a video game almost.
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
video gamey the way the choose your own adventure thing works.
Yeah.
So dipping back into the storyline for Ages of Eternities, you mentioned the Solthera system.
Yep.
Solthera has a card called Solthera the Super Void.
Yes.
Is that a black hole?
That is the sun, or
Okay.
what used to be the sun. This universe, as much as Pinnacle seems to be kind of like at the center of it, quite literally, right? The Faster Than Light Travel Corporation is largely at the whims of two competing religions. One of them is called the Monoists. They are a black hole death cult. They look at the universe in terms of a machine, and they believe that the purpose of a machine is the thing that it does best. So the universe will eventually turn everything into black holes. Therefore, that is the universe's purpose.
So they're trying to expedite that process.
And they are the cards you see on all the black mana cards.
Yes, yeah, they're
Right.
the black mana
Very
cards.
shadowy
They've
figures.
got like the huge bulky armor and all this kind of stuff, and they're all very grim and dark. They want to turn the universe into black holes as fast as possible because there's like some messiah figure that they had called the Faller who fell into a black hole, and as he was falling into a black hole, transmitted a message. But that message, of course, never reached anyone because of
The
black
event
holes,
horizon.
right? But they believe that he was telling them about a paradise that he was getting to, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they have like suicide bombers and stuff where they load themselves up with miniaturized black holes, and they'll like land into ships and like suck everything in.
For them, the paradise is at the end of a black hole. They
Yes.
believe it's an afterlife.
Yeah, and there's a term where the story throws in. They call that's committing Sekhar. It just sort of throws it in.
Hell yeah, committing Sekhar.
Sekhar, yeah. Yeah, and the other competing religion are the Summists. The Summists are a like paladin knight order.
They're just, hey, stop black holing everything, guys. What the fuck?
Well, kind of, yeah. They worship math. They view the entire universe.
I'm with the black hole guys now. Fuck the maths guys.
I wonder how many black hole guys got converted just because they didn't want to do homework.
It's honestly such a weird setting where you clearly have like the white aligned characters and the black aligned characters, and the black aligned characters are like, look, man, everything's going to end eventually. Let's do it in a cool way. And they also have this thing written into their society that no one can tell anyone else what to do because it really won't matter in the end scale of things.
Oh, they're pure nihilisms.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
they're pure nihilist and they're pure individual choice, right? And then you have the Paladin Knight Order of the Summists, who look at the entire universe as one giant equation where every positive action and negative action has an implication on the larger sum, right? So you can work out the mathematical morality of every action by figuring out whether it will increase or decrease the sum.
Neither seem that fun to hang out with on a Sunday.
No.
You know what I mean? Like neither are winning a points by throwing a bender or a party or something. You know?
Yeah, no, they're like rough, right? Like you have
I'm gonna go hang out with the carvers.
yeah, exactly. And so the
What's
story,
that? You like rocks? Me too, bud.
the story starts with the Monoists, the black hole death cult, having already turned Solthera into a black hole.
Ah, so it was a sun, and now
It was a sun. It's a black hole. The Solthera
Big deal
system,
for a solar system, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Solthera system is done.
Now they're a whole system.
Right? Older system. Yeah, so like the Solthera system is dying and it has been dying for a while when we reach this set. The Summists have a super mega charge, like basically opposite of a Death Star, where they can try and reignite the sun, right? They're trying to unblack hole the black hole.
You know, how, like in Star Wars, because we were talking about it, it's like, you know, there's that from the second trilogy, there was that one that sucked the sun in and turned it into a laser.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I like
They
the idea
dice and
of
see the
Star
sun.
Killer.
Yeah, the opposite one where it sucks, it just keeps
Yeah.
sucking in like space debris until it shits out a whole planet. Like it lays a planet, like,
Yeah. It's honestly it's one of these things where it's like they just have it. It's a giant ship. It can do this. Whatever.
Well, I think it's like if our sun was to go out, they theorize it'd be like 2 or 3 days until we'd completely just like.
It would take a while.
It would take a while. Yeah.
No, apparently it'd be quite quick, like 2 or 3 days, and we would be like, we'd freeze over effectively.
We wouldn't. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about. Because the light itself would take a while to reach us.
Yes.
So we actually wouldn't even notice the sun went out.
Yeah, it probably would have been like a decade ago or something. Is it hundreds or how quickly does the sunlight?
No. It'll be like
it travels at.
It'll be a few minutes.
The speed of light. Right, like that you can figure that out.
You do look at that, Matt. Like, but I'm not smart enough to know what the fuck that really means. my entire real education.
I probably read this thing in like a science book when I was like 14 years old, and I remember that it'll take a while, like a hot bit of time until like we realize the sun went out. But I think it's like minutes.
All I know that the speed of light moves like lasers around your spaceship when you moving through it. That's the most education.
Everything goes blurry when you go really fast.
Yeah.
Light is traveling really fast, but the further something is away, the longer that light has to travel. So it's like when we look at galaxies and stuff on the Hubble telescope, they probably died a long time ago.
There's a classic joke from Flight of the Conchords. You ever seen it?
Yeah.
You know what Flight of the Conchords is? It's like these 2 New Zealand guys that go to New York. Anyway, their manager uses their first $50 that they earn from their job to buy planets for all of them, and then what do you call it? One of the guys is like hard done by because his planet got exploded or something. But he's like, but it happened 35 million years ago, so don't worry too much about it. But it just means that he'd spent the $50. Like the joke is that he spent the $50 on nothing effectively.
On a planet that hasn't existed for the entirety of human history.
So the sci-fi concept of like the religious worship is very like much a sci-fi trope, right? Like these two warring factions based entirely on belief. The mathematics one it's believable. It's very believable.
Yeah, so. And so like the summists have this sort of understanding that yes, eventually the world will, or like the universe will black hole. We don't disagree with that. That's just sort of how things go. But we can increase the time that the universe has, and because we can, therefore we should, right? In doing that, though, they sort of turn themselves into like a religious order of knights and paladins, and they have angels that are actually like the children of stars. That's why they've got like sort of like sun-looking things to them.
Yeah,
and they are the white mana cards. You see?
Yeah. They're the white mana cards, and we follow basically 4 characters in this story. We follow one character called Halaya from the Summists. We follow one character from the Monoists, Alfariel, and then we encounter we sort of start with and then encounter the other ones, Sami and Tanuk, right? Who are the crew of the Seriima, right? Just sort of like a unaligned faction. And they've been hired by the Metal Man, or Tezzeret, right? To find an artifact. It is like a last-ditch effort for Sami and Tanuk. They are down on their luck and have been down on their luck for a long time. And this is like some guy is giving us a suicide mission and he's probably going to pay us a lot. Let's do it, right? They are down on their luck because Sami is trying to find their cat. That is not a joke. That is their entire purpose for being in the story.
I guess when you have an entire universe space, there's a lot of space there to lose the cat, right?
Well, Tanuk is a Kavu, right?
Yes,
I imagine
Tanuk is a Kavu.
He's also not incredibly bright, so he's kind of just in it for the ride.
Tanuk is actually a really interesting character because he used to be like a general in the Kavu like military space force, and he had to make a really tough decision about like diverting basically like a Holocaust, where instead of hitting 15 million Kavu, he instead hit 1,500 Kavu.
Or still train carriage.
Yes, he had that situation. So he has now come to the conclusion, I am not allowed to make decisions, period. I will have someone make all of my decisions for me, because the one time that I did, it resulted in death. I still carry that with me, and within Kavu society, it was generally classified as like a dick move.
Yeah. People still died. That sucks.
Sounds a lot like when Luke asks what I want for dinner, I say I can't tell because I'm colorblind. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like trying to get out of having to pay taxes because he doesn't want to anymore.
So you would better tell if it was green egg and ham.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tanook has decided, well, I don't like the one big choice that I made. I'm not going to make any choices.
Man, he
ever
lives
again.
the fuck it we bowl life. Someone gives him a suggestion, okay, we'd go.
We go.
He says yes and to literally everything.
Nice.
And
Would you like to come on this suicide mission that this robot guy gave me? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so Sammy, and it's worth pointing out as well, Sammy features on 2 cards in this set, as do weirdly most of the characters. There's like, what, 9? There's like maybe 9, 11, something like that, like legendary creatures in the set, and most of them are double ups of the same character at different points in their story. It is kind of odd. There are a number of other sort of like notable characters in the story, but they don't get cards. Sammy gets 2, Tanook gets 2, Servondum gets 2, Halaya gets 2, Elthariel gets 2. For some odd reason, Menemon gets 2. It's a thing. Sammy goes by they, them pronouns. Gender is a weird sort of concept in this universe because most species just don't have it.
Yeah, half of them are lizards and shit, right?
There's jellyfish.
There are jellyfish.
True,
Yeah. And the jellyfish don't have faces. That's a thing that's fun as well. There's an entire planet of the jellyfish. It's a storm giant planet.
Jellyfish don't procreate, right? In real life? Like
They have to some way.
They do it like asexually.
like
right?
a splitting kind of thing, right?
No. They mate. I'm pretty sure jellyfish mate.
I don't think they do. They just sort
They
of
don't?
like ingest proteins until eventually
They have
pop out
cocks, but you
another
can't tell because they just look like their legs.
Which one is it? Which one isn't it?
Yeah, maybe they breed by accident by accidentally
Yeah.
bumping into each other and
donkey.
spreading material. But yeah, their planet is like a gas giant, so like no one knows what the fuck is going on, and no one can really get into it because it's just like a giant fucking storm.
Yeah.
And whenever the jellyfish interact with people, they put on like a holographic robot face to mimic expressions because they just don't have them.
yeah.
Yep.
And they do like a voice synthesizer because normally they communicate via like pheromones and
They all
stuff.
sound like Alexa. Like
True.
Pretty much. There's the one jellyfish character that we do meet in the set, Menemon. I mentioned him before. He's actually the guy that hired Tezzeret to hire other people.
He's a blue legendary creature?
Yeah, he's a blue legendary creature. He also gets a blue-red one. Because as far as jellyfish go, who are all into super unethical science, he is unethical, right?
He's the worst.
He's the
so
worst.
even
of
the
the
jellyfish are like, oh, not that guy. we don't
exactly.
We go to his part of the cloud.
He's specifically learned what is rude within human society just so he can mimic it.
Oh, he's like that guy who goes to Thailand and he only learns the swear words. Everyone's favorite guy, you know.
like there's a point in the story where like Tezzeret says something to him and Menemon's like holographic face rolls its eyes.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that he had to program it specifically to do.
It doesn't naturally come. He has to put effort into it.
Yeah.
He learned how to be a bitch.
He learned how to be a bitch. Absolutely. So we have Sammy and Tanook. Sammy has a cat, or had a cat like 10 years ago. God, this is ridiculous. In the Edge, every cat innately has the ability to planeswalk.
Cool.
That's a lore tie-in eventually down the line.
That's just a thing.
What?
Planeswalking is a completely foreign concept to the Edge. However, cats can do it. They can do it whenever they want.
Can you imagine being an engineer? You work your entire life designing fast and light travel, a spaceship that's designed to take a crew of people safely through space to a destination, and the cat just disappears every now and again and comes back from another planet.
Yeah. That to me, that's like a police officer whose job is to find drugs, and then a dog comes over and sniffs it and says, "Like there."
And
I imagine that was like, what was it, the Wright brothers when they were trying to invent a goddamn plane, and
they just keep watching a bird in the sky.
bird
Like,
flies
"How the fuck
past
do you do
and
it?"
laughs at them.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well, right? Is
Yeah.
in that same situation, you can imagine those engineers. They're looking at a cat that like keeps popping
How
in
do
and
you
out.
how do you do this?
You're like, how the fuck do you do that?
I wonder if like the capacity to like learn how to like create an airplane happened in Australia. If it would have happened like decades earlier, because the kookaburras kept laughing at them. They're like, "Fuck you, I'll get it done."
Never doubt the human ability to spite.
Spite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We need to learn how to dive bomb because magpies.
Knowing
are
humans
ruthless.
well enough, we would have just killed the kookaburras.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's true.
That's fair. So cats can planeswalk in this setting.
That explains there's a red card with a cat like going through a portal, which I didn't really have now it makes sense what it's doing.
Do they have an explanation why? They just do.
They just do.
They just do.
They just
Okay.
do. It's possible that they're the other thing as well, it's possible that they're descended from a race called the Drix, or a precursor to that race. The Edge also has a long and storied history. They drop tiny little tidbits of it here and there, but there is remnants of this society called the Drix, who can also kind of planeswalk by like literally cutting space and time open and stepping through.
Oh, yeah.
They remember fighting the Fomori and fighting the Eldrazi. And they just kind
What's
of...
the Fomori? Which one's that?
The Fomori are kind of like a race that we haven't seen, but we've heard them touched on
You
a
know
bunch.
Ruhan of the Fomori? The card that attacks randomly. It's like a...
Oh, yeah.
Also, Loot is a Fomori, or probably related to them, and the vault that we found on
Outlaws.
of Thunder Junction was just full of like Fomori artifacts that gave this implication that they were like a spacefaring race.
Got it.
So there's like stuff.
Shit, so they were setting that up. We didn't even know.
Yeah, the Fomori are like old bit of lore that we kind of ignored, and now it's recently come back with Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and now they're likely the next big story plotline.
Because the name it feels like it triggers something in my brain, but I can't place what
It's
from.
an Irish word for precursor race of giants, right? So like it was a belief that like before humans existed on the earth, there were giants.
What are the lizard guys with the one eyes called in Warhammer 40k? Warhammer Fantasy.
Not the Slan.
No. It's something. It sounds like Fomori. It sounds the names almost the
You
same.
guys keep talking. I'm gonna muddle over that one.
Yeah, you
So-
just like stare off into the middle distance and go.
It sounds so much like Fomor. It's like it's.
I like that.
it's
I
turning
like
my
that
brain
all
now.
that your lore, like all your favorite storylines, all your favorite stuff. You just like your brain has reserved explicit hard drive space for Warhammer.
Yeah, enough to know that it exists, but not to have any good detail.
Yeah,
on it.
there's a massive bank of files, but none of them have names.
Yeah, it's like it's either like Falmore or Fenmore or something like that. It's so close that my brain can't reimagine it back into the other word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So again, cats can planeswalk, or it's called weft walking in the Edge. And Sammy's cat did it. Normally, Sammy's cat was able to like find its way back to the ship, but for some reason they didn't. And now Sammy's like, well, fuck, I gotta go find my cat. Yeah. And
It's hard when there's an entire space to go rummage through.
Yeah, they were working on a space crew at the time that they did. Pretty much everyone on their crew died. So then now they've been like recruiting people on their own ship to be like, let's just do jobs and hopefully try and find my cat along the way. Everyone in those crews has quit after a while because they realize that the captain only cares about getting their cat back.
Yeah, I would probably bail.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's 6 days deep into it, like a trek. 5 guys have died to some ancient like space disease.
This is how I imagine the crew of Moby Dick felt. The Moby Dick crew were like, Captain, is just that one whale we're going after?
You're serious? This is just about one
what's
whale?
going on?
They're just there to get the blubber and sell the oil, and you've passed the 6th whale, and he's like, "No, we're going to the specific whale." And they're like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
You're like, okay, there's this one whale that ate me leg. It's got a taste for sailor feet.
I got Google up and I can't find anything other than Slan. Like
Right.
Lord Croak is a Slan.
Nah, give me 2 seconds. You, Matt, you talk at Kang. I didn't want to Google. I didn't want to Google at the same time.
We're tapping out. Go back in.
So Tanuk is the only member of the crew that stayed on because he can't make decisions.
All right, so we have a 2-man crew right now going on a suicide mission.
Yes, and they specifically state that their ship is equipped to have a crew of 6.
Gotcha.
And
At
there's
this
only
point
2.
now in the storyline, do we know much about Tezzeret's intentions yet?
No, we don't know shit. We don't even meet Tezzeret until like the final chapter.
Fermier, they're called in Warhammer Fantasy.
The what?
The Fermier. Which is like this from in Warhammer Fantasy. The whole thing is before the Slan arrive, there are elder races, and they come through, and the great ones, like the same great ones you have in like World of Warcraft and a lot of other stories like that, they come through and they erase all the pre-races and only leave the ones they want. But some things like the elder dragons and the Fermier dig themselves deep into the earth and basically survive the scouring. And it's like that's the Fermier story is essentially exactly how Matt's explaining. Like the elder races, like all from before. And for the first half of history in all of Warhammer Fantasy, people don't know they exist. They only.
You ever wonder if all writing is just the same tropes over and over?
Yeah, fair.
Because Halo is very similar as well.
Well, the same way you talk about like the Drix and the cats being like from the same race but not the same race, you have like Lord of the Rings where Gandalf and the Balrog are the same race.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because
It's like-
Mass Effect, similar idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Great
like,
big
sort of
cleansing with some races like kind of exist and don't exist anymore.
Like a lot of borrowed tropes. I wouldn't say like plagiarized. It's really more like it's
Inspired by.
right?
Our little
They-
monkey
they
brains could
twist
only come up with so many things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and they're still interesting concepts.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
This one's got cats.
and so the plot follows them interacting or trying to find this end stone and interacting eventually with Alfariel and Halaya.
So the mission was to find the end stone.
Yeah, it was to find something. They were never told what it was. They were never told what it does. They were never told what eventually they're going to bring back with them. They're just like, go there, check it out.
So they're the Han Solo and Chewbacca of the set. So
Yeah.
Yes,
basically.
yeah, effectively. I mean, yeah, that's remarkably accurate. Alfariel is the C-3PO, and Halaya is Luke.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then they kiss. And it's the 70s.
C-3PO
It's the 80s and
Luke
that's fine.
kisses. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one. So what happens is they end up finding themselves on a star colony or on a space colony that, for all intents and purposes, is mining a lot of stuff. Right? It's having an impact on the global economy. But when they show up, no one's there. Like, no one is there. The lights are on. Nobody's home. There's clearly evidence that people were here, but they're just not. And they eventually find the end stone, and it sort of reveals itself throughout the story that they have encountered a situation in which the end stone has rewritten reality so that no one would be there, so that they could pick it up.
It's
The
made
end
so
stone
findable.
wanted to be found.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end
Like the
stone-
ring from Lord.
Honestly, yes.
Well, the ring was it wants to be found by everyone, by anyone, so they can bring it back to someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they got there to this planet, there was no one there but the guy who gave them riddles. So now, I know I'm jumping the gun 100%, but I'm chomping the bit. I'm really excited about this. Is Tezzeret a good guy or a bad guy, or it's yet to be revealed what he's doing?
Tezzeret shows up in the final chapter of this, which is so weird that he's like barely there.
Yeah, because he's front and center in all the marketing.
Yeah.
Yep.
What threw me is like Tezzeret's such a primary character, or at least when he's with old
Nicol
mate
Bolas.
Gemhead Nicol Bolas.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess he's like a secondary character there, but in a lot of ways without Nicol Bolas is like a god character. So Tezzeret is
He's
a
always
primary
working
character.
for his own ideals.
So when you say the jellyfish is hiring him, I'm like, wait, he's not a guy who gets hired. He does the hiring. Like, so it's weird that he's like second bit in this, right?
Tezzeret kind of always has been second bit, and that's actually a major part of
I
his
guess he needs
motivation
to
in
make
this
money somewhere.
He's just trying to get by. After all these years, he's just a hard guy by.
Nicol
So I'm
Bolas was paying him really well, and he has a luxury lifestyle to uphold.
So
he's bought his mum an apartment.
Tezzeret, his motivations in the set are kind of funny because he realizes after his like long history of working for Nicol Bolas, he worked for the Phyrexians. He had like a criminal organization that showed up in the books called the Infinite Consortium, where he was like a mob boss. He doesn't want to work for anyone ever again. And he wants to know what he's dealing with. We don't entirely know how he found himself in the Edge, but we know he can't get back.
Got it.
And he's in the Edge. He's the only person that has actual magic. He's the only person that has a concept of what the multiverse actually is.
Good point. So there's no presence of real magic.
Yeah.
In
just
these
isn't.
blind, like the Edges of Eternities. It's all very classic sci-fi where it's
all
technology.
sci-fi.
He's out there for 5 minutes, gets burnt as a witch.
That's why people are calling him the Metal Man.
The Metal Man, yeah.
Because they have robots, but he's not a robot.
Yeah.
They're like, your body is clearly made out of metal, but you're a person, right? Like you've got like you don't work
Yeah.
like an auton. So his concept is that he has learned of this entity or this object called the End Stone, and he's kind of working with / hired by Numenon, kind of being financed by, really, because they're like, there's this thing. And Tezzeret goes, cool, I want to figure out what that thing is. I want to meet its boss, and then I can figure out whether I need to serve it, flee, or kill it. Right? That's it. He has no bigger motivation than I just want to meet the boss of the universe and see what happens. Right? So that's why he's hiring people. Tezzeret has this really fun concept in this story where he has a spaceship, but it has no engine. because he doesn't need it. He has control over metal, so he just pushes it manually through space.
It's like when you know the guy on the boat,
Yeah.
his engine blows out and he has to get behind it and swim and push his own boat with his legs.
Yeah, and there's this great bit
This
where
is just sci-fi
Yeah.
version of Flintstones.
yeah,
That is very funny.
and because like he's regarded as like a fucking anomaly by everyone else in the story, and there's this great bit when he does show up.
There's a residue.
On the he shows up on the Seriema, and like docks his ship to
God,
theirs.
control over metal in a science fiction spacecraft dominated universe would be insane, right?
Yeah, true.
crazy.
Like they fire torpedoes at him and he just waves them away.
Yeah, Magneto's it.
Damn, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. He docks his ship onto theirs by just melding the metals together and then building a tube.
Yeah.
And
Afterwards he leaves, they're like, what the fuck, bro?
yeah, right.
Yeah, the other, you know, the other bridge of like the other ship, and they've run in to see the captain, and they're like, "Oh, he's boarding us," and they're like, "Where?" And he's like, just melts through the wall.
Yeah, he just like leeches on, right? And there's a bit where Sammy's like, "All right, cool, engage the like grappling hooks," and Tanook's like, "He's already here." Like we haven't even engaged the process, and he's just walked in. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" So yeah, the Halaya is from an organization, the Summists, that want. Oh man, the roof is really talking.
We're getting real windy out there.
Yeah. Halaya has something written into like their religious books of what to do in situations that if you encounter an object like the End Stone, here's a bunch of stuff to do. Largely, it's blow yourself up in the most gory way possible.
I'm still sold on them.
Yeah.
yeah. And then Alfariel happens upon the End Stone by accident. He ends up touching it. By some sheer coincidence, the End Stone thinks Alfariel is the most likely candidate to get them wherever they want, right? Alfariel was on a suicide mission at that point in time and made the very unique decision in that moment, apparently, that he didn't want to die. And he literally threw away his Sekhar. He threw it at a guy called Sir Vondum, who was like a paladin. He's a paladin, and Sir Halaya is his squire. And it kills him. And the End Stone goes, no, that's not going to work. And it rewrites reality so that it somehow passes directly through his head and creates a hole, but he doesn't die.
Oh, so he's got a black hole inside his head?
He has just like a space through his head. He effectively got shot in the head. It created a perfect tunnel front to back.
Yeah.
And he's somehow alive.
Well,
Damn, is this on a card?
he's got
the End
two
Stone
cards.
is a real card.
No, I want to see the guy with the hole in his face.
Right.
You don't get to see the
Oh, it's the best bit.
I know!
Magic the Gathering. What the fuck?
So it makes sense that Tezzeret wants this artifact. Because
Yep.
effectively what this thing is it has the ability to rewrite any sort of physical reality.
as long as it benefits the End Stone.
More importantly, your mate. We'll say it's your mate.
Yeah.
Right. We won't say it's your partner because that gives you too many.
Also, dick move for throwing the bomb at your mate.
Yeah. No. It was the opponent.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the opposing force.
But what I'm saying is that let's say your mate like comes in and he's had his head shot but rewritten, so now there's a tube in his head. Do you ask your mate to like just see what it feels like? Just like, not in a weird way. It doesn't have to be a weird way. But like, you know, if Connor came in, I feel very
But
comfortable
I'm
with
definitely
Connor.
going to see what fits in that hole.
Yeah,
I
but
want to
hey-
shove cans in there.
You ever had like, you know, a mate
Beer
like,
bottles.
like breaks his arm or something and it's all kind of wacky and you're like, oh, you know, their fingers like weird set now. You're like, go, show us your finger. You know what I mean? So it's all, the curiosity kicks in, you know?
I'm staring at that hole. I'm real curious.
Oh, yeah, no, everyone on the ship is staring at Sir Vondum. And they're like, you should be dead. Why can't I see people through your
Also,
head?
to go to the doctors, we
Dick
don't
move
know
from the End Stone not to just like put his head back together.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It can control all infinity, but he's got a cone for a head.
It can only change the variables of like probability, right?
Right.
So it found the one path of probability through his head that wouldn't kill him.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like it hit.
Oh, so the wound is
neurons.
still there, but
Yeah.
the death is not.
The black hole was going through his head regardless. It just happened to find
The End Stone could have
one-
just been like, duck. Get out of the way.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah, apparently there was no reality in which Sir Vondum ducked.
you know
right?
when you see like freaky stuff where like someone gets like the shot in the head, but the bullet travels in a place that doesn't kill them, but it just
Yeah.
comes out the side or something.
Yeah, and honestly, I think there's a thing where Sir Vondum having the hole through his head then results in Halaya making choices based on that.
Or it
So,
becomes like a map thing where
Yeah.
he stands at the right angle of the sun and the light goes through his head. It shines on the ground. They know where to dig for treasure.
yeah, I think
That's why Tezra wants the stone.
It's a Staff of Ra situation.
You know, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, when they find the thing.
I was thinking Raiders.
Yeah, that too. That works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now that I come to think of it, there is a point in the story where Servondum is supposed to go down onto a planet, but Halaya goes instead because hey, you've got a hole in your head.
Yeah,
right? And so then, that was probably because the End Stone was like, I need Halaya.
I need those two to meet. Yeah,
I need those two to meet. It's weird. Halaya thinks that she should basically blow the End Stone up and herself. Alfariol is like, I have a magic rock. The magic rock saved me from killing myself. I will do what the magic rock says.
Understandable.
I get it.
He doesn't understand how the magic works, but in most situations, Alfariol mostly just sort of holds the rock and goes and just hopes that things go his way.
So, like, the End Stone effectively is an artifact that no matter what will prioritize its own survival.
Yes.
So, like an iPhone. The End Stone is an iPhone. So
Right.
you hold on to
Is
it dearly, and its only priority is to serve itself. Like we just have them, and we hope it will solve all of our problems.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
It's like when I fall off my skateboard and I have my phone in my pocket. I try and fall in a way that I get hit, but not my phone.
And
So I'll heal. My phone will not.
and you'd be like, "Oh, I've chopped my leg off and I'm bleeding. ChatGPT, what should I do?"
Gotcha. I kind of understand. I understand the End Stone now. It doesn't need to be necessarily conscious. It's just the artifact is designed in a way where it will shape reality in a way that its survival is.
All it wants to
present.
do is get back to its master.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to the unsatisfying ending of the story, because we do get the End Stone on the ship with Sammy and Tanook and Halaya and Alfariol. Halaya and Alfariol have been bickering this entire time, but they have sort of put their differences aside because they're like, fuck it. The magic rock is doing things. Our religions don't matter.
Yep.
Tezzeret is there. I think Mnemon might be there for this conversation. I'm not sure. But they're on the ship. And then Sammy is holding the End Stone. And it floats off the table. And then out of the table comes a mysterious being that looks kind of humanoid, but kind of not. And it picks up the End Stone and is like, got it. Does some scary shit and disappears. And Tezzeret goes,
Fuck.
He basically just goes, huh, that was odd. And then the story ends. That's it.
So,
I get it.
And the being's taken the End Stone with them?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. This is very much a plot line set up for another plot line. This is a side plot line to a plot that exists. Because for all we know, let's say theoretically that this storyline is happening simultaneously to the other main storyline plotline, and the other main storyline plotline has a moment where they do a thing and they go like maybe Loot was one of the mysterious figures that shows up, grabs the End Stone, disappears.
Yep. Or like that figure shows up in the magic multiverse, and we now are able to go, oh, that's
so
what
these
that is.
parallel
And that's who they
storylines,
are.
we had this all happening, and it was described like this storyline was to set up what the End Stone is, and the other storyline in parallel is what's actually going on. But they know they need this thing called the End Stone. They dip in, take the End Stone, leave,
And
leaving the players
the-
on the ship like what?
Yeah, exactly.
They've had their loot
right?
stolen at the last minute.
Yeah, because
This is like me in the raid dungeon after the end, when everyone just sneaks in and grabs everything.
yeah,
is there
but
any
then the equivalent is that like the loot for that dungeon then shows up in an entirely different video.
Yeah. In another video game.
and it has flavor text that's like, figure it out.
Yeah.
And you have to play the other video games to
I like
understand.
that Tezzeret was so cool about this. If I would be pissed.
He is kind of pissed, but he really has that sort of like stunned expression where he's like,
Well,
I don't know how to react to this.
This is how I explain. This is how exactly. This is how I explained my work thing in the last podcast, where I'm like, when so many unfortunate things happen, whenever anything new unfortunate happens, you're just like, oh,
well,
okay,
this happened.
yeah.
it's like-
It doesn't. You don't have to be depressed or sad or mad about it. You're just like, well, this is another unfortunate thing to add to the stack of unfortunate. Because like Tezzeret's background of he's never won shit, right?
Yeah.
He's lost every single. He's got that. He's the problem being like the bad guy in the stories where the bad guys aren't allowed to
He
win.
keeps getting to the cool, but not the coolest.
Yeah.
He's always been like a double and triple agent, and yet somehow has never won.
Yeah. So
It's like, well, I should be disappointed because this has just happened every time I've done a thing.
He's like, the consequences of my actions.
is there any descriptor at all for the character that comes out of the table and takes the thing?
Yes, they are odd looking. We do get a sort of understanding that they are not of any of the races that are established in the set. That's annoying.
So they are alien to the
They
aliens.
are, yes, exactly. Like, we get introduced to Drix. Drix are some of the creatures that do still exist. They're like kind of like a weird shadowy order now, where their role is to kill the Eldrazi. Because I should touch on this. There is one Eldrazi card in this set, and there is one Sliver card in this set. None of those things feature in the story in any meaningful way, or really ever get touched on in a meaningful way. Slivers are offhandedly mentioned as like a thing that exists.
So what they have a card, and it's an artifact, correct?
Yeah, it's like the Hive Stone, I think.
Right.
That it just makes slivers.
And the Eldrazi was a creature. So I guess this is them implicating that the Slivers and Eldrazi are in fact potentially alien things.
Yes, yeah, which honestly makes sense. Out of all the races that you could have in Magic that are like, I don't know what the fuck their deal is, because every time we've encountered the Slivers, they've come from somewhere else, right? It's just like, oh, someone brought them in.
Is in the, and I could be wrong, but there's a laboratory card from like Urza's Block Saga or somewhere there.
Riptide Laboratory.
Riptide Laboratory. I was under the impression, and again, could be wrong, but that they somehow thought it created the Slivers by accident.
So
in that storyline,
yeah,
I do remember that old plotline.
yeah,
the Slivers. The first time we encountered them, nice little tangent. I'll try and cover as briefly as I can. The first time we encountered them was in
take
Wrath.
5 hours, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. The first time we encountered them was on
popcorn.
Wrath. They were on a artificially created plane. They were just like in the basement of Volrath, right? It was never really established how he had them. But he got them from somewhere.
Got it.
And then Wrath fused into Dominaria. They became the same plane. And the Slivers kind of
Transitioned across,
yeah. They got pulled across as did a lot of other races. The Slivers then got wiped out. Then the Riptide Laboratory Project decided to resurrect them from fossils.
I see.
So they did kind of
They
like
already
create
existed,
them.
but on Dominaria,
Yeah.
the project was to bring them back.
Yes, they Jurassic Parked them back into reality.
So this still leaves the implication that Volrath, found the Slivers from whatever source. If they're alien creatures, they could have been found on the planet.
Yeah, he could have just like found an egg and was like, "Oh, what's this?"
I wonder if we'll get some really cool like touchback parts where they reconnect some old threads that didn't necessarily go anywhere or looked a little bit like
The Slivers were always kind of that. They kind of just exist. They don't really have plotline.
We also know that Slivers existed on Chandelar as well, but they look entirely different.
the humanoidy kind of ones.
Yeah, they're the humanoidy kind of ones, and we don't know how they got there either. So it's like it's
almost like the pizza we've got has like worms or maggots in it. You know what I mean? And that's the Slivers are.
The pizza's been around for 30 years.
yes.
So
because like the Eldrazi on the other side, they've always been very like space, like come from another like universe abyss.
The original intention of the Eldrazi was very much that Lovecraftian eldritch horror, which is an eldritch horror is very much an outer-worldly thing. In all of H.P. Lovecraft's descriptions, he describes these as greater than life, like these greater than life horrible beings that
outside of human understanding.
That come from outside of human understanding, with the implication that it's kind of meaning space.
I'm sorry to the listeners because I don't remember the name of the card, but you mentioned it, Kang. It was like one of the white art cards we were looking at. It kind of looks very much like an Eldrazi, the shape of an Eldrazi in the backdrop, and it's a statue they've created to make it look like that. And it's very, very similar callback to that land where the merfolk...
the shrine of the Forsaken Gods, where it's like Zendikar half remembering the Eldrazi Titans.
Yeah, because
right?
it's hundreds of years before, so now they remember it's this. And
they're silhouette matches, but they're entirely different.
Yes, and this white card that this enchantment that King pointed out is very much the same thing, where the shape is like one of the Emeralds essentially.
Yeah,
but it's been reimagined after thousands of years to be something different.
Yeah.
So
it's entirely possible. And so I mean, if the Eldrazi are
because they're cosmic horrors, is what
they're
Eldrazi
cosmic
are.
horrors. We're now in the cosmos, and this is probably where they're from. So the Drix are like vacuuming up what remnants of the Eldrazi there are, and they do show up once in the story. There's like a big battle happening on a pinnacle station, and then all of a sudden there's like these Eldrazi swarming through space, like swimming through space, and everyone's like, what the fuck is that? And no one has any answers, and a Drix shows up and he's like, oh shit. And then the characters just step away from that situation and we never touch on it again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's cool. It's because I guess from a storytelling point of view, the whole setting they're trying to create it's an entire universe of stuff that's so big that something as important as like slivers or Eldrazi can exist, but it's still background noise compared to the rest of the story because there's such a vast space.
Also, the implication that an old race knows about the Eldrazi means that they probably know more about the Eldrazi than the average person.
It's a bit like getting like an SD. They just hope they don't see it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So of all the primary, like we're going to assume, and could be absolutely wrong, but for the sake of like us having a yarn about it, is which of, let's say, the planeswalkers or characters do we know from the current storyline that it could have be the one that popped up and grabbed the stone? Like I said, it could be totally they'll interview someone.
I don't think it is anyone. That's kind of the weird thing because for the most part, Tezzeret would know, and he doesn't recognize.
Oh, because he'd feel the spark of the other planeswalker.
Well, no, I just think like Tezzeret knows.
How clear of a picture was it? The person that grabbed the stone?
They physically manifested.
Okay.
Right, and they were like silvery skinned. They had like weird kind of like gaps and holes through them.
When you
they were feminine. They had like a bunch of different
Female
fingers.
he chipped away some of the silver.
Yeah. Well, like he's a robot, right? So he can choose to like be any binary that he wants to, right? So maybe he's decided to be. He leaves that and he just becomes another whatever he wants.
Although most likely it is another new storyline plotline entity that is grabbing the stone and probably like allied with. I imagine this is going to tie back to loot somehow. This has to probably because they've been setting up a storyline for a while.
Well, that's to me, it's like I'm only going by the conversation that we're having, but maybe that's part of Tezzeret's maybe flippancy with the like, oh, interesting, like because like it's something that he knows from the past, so he's not surprised by it, but he's just surprised to see.
Or it's Tezzeret's plan to have someone he hired steal the stone in front of him and Menemenon to be like, I'm off the hook now. I'm sorry, I couldn't get the stone. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry,
like, you guys saw it, right? He got stolen.
Yeah, not me.
It's entirely possible. They're like most of the characters have intentions in the story that are hard to conceptualize.
To be fair, what I enjoy on the Edges of Eternity storyline is that it's not like a classic Magic the Gathering storyline where you're following a continuous plot. This is a brand new universe where we're digging into the theoreticals now. Now we're digging into that classic like sci-fi of like what if, like is this a thing? What is this? What is the storyline? We're asking questions now. It's really opening up the book to hey, more story could be made out of this.
I think a big part of it as well is the Tezzeret is a planeswalker, but he's by no means the focal point of the story.
Oh no, yeah, he's there, and no one understands him, and he understands very little.
Yeah, so it's like if the focus is away from the planeswalker, is that give them leeway to make planeswalkers not the focus of the characters moving forward?
Yeah, it's possible.
Like,
they have been trying that for a while.
It might be like a concept that didn't work for them anymore, and maybe they can, like as a company, they can move away from it.
I did find a description of the character, and I did actually find that the character that takes the Endstone features on a card.
Oh,
right. So there's a card called Temporal Intervention.
Oh, I
this
see.
One here. Yep.
It's very much an alien. So for the listeners, so
Temporal
I'll
Intervention
is the card,
it.
But the art itself is very much everyone's gathered around a table around the Endstone, and it's this silvery alien, almost robotic, almost Phyrexian-esque looking creature coming in and picking up.
Now, to me, it looks more like the ash, the red elementals from Lorwyn. It's not, but that's
the Flamekin. That's probably the closest comparison. Because they
very much coming from a split in the universe.
Yeah, in the story, it's described as its face is a green mask scaled with the oxides of eons. It has lips, eyes, a nose, and a brow, but its ears are whorled knives above empty cheeks. Behind its face is nothing but pale light. It is not gendered, but contains all the charms that Sammy finds in the gendered. If it once knew beauty as a signal of fitness, like any animal might, now it knows beauty as a sign of likeness to itself. It has no genitalia because it does not need to reproduce, because it is finished, it is the end, it is final and complete.
This is just another Endstone being like, gotcha, suckers, goodbye.
Yeah, and there's a bit where like Alfariel is holding onto the Endstone. It says it buzzes in his hand like a wasp. He cries out and drops it. The figure translates beside him, which in the context of this story is basically like it just sort of moves through space, which, seems to imply that like space and time don't really matter to this thing. It's odd. It's odd, and that's kind of intentionally left vague.
Right.
I get it. I don't like it.
The flavor text is like it's at the bottom of the temporal intervention says it will not end any other way than this.
Yep.
And I like only to theorize, but it's like we've been told the story by the Endstone itself effectively as the narrator. Maybe this is the thing behind it that's speaking through the Endstone as the actual thing in control.
Yeah.
Like rather than the stone being the thing rewriting it, maybe it's just this character or set of characters that is rewriting the story via the Endstone rather than Stone doing it itself.
It's all very intentionally left vague, right? This is the way that the entire story was going to go. We're going to set up this huge setting, but it's really all about this rock getting to this one place.
Yeah.
And then a figure
Yeah,
picking up the
I
rock
imagine,
and then
as you
disappearing.
mentioned, as you've been following the story and you really want to get to the answers, and ultimately it is a little bit unsatisfying when you get to the end and you're still left with a big question mark. No answers really answered.
It's that season 1 cliffhanger. But the problem with Wizards and returning to storylines is are we going to get a
Finale of the story.
Yeah,
next
we're going to
set,
get a season
or-
2, or is it going to be season 2 in 10 years?
Yeah. And the next set we're going to is Spider-Man, so we're not even remotely touching on this.
And anybody who likes any TV show knows that if we get a writer strike in between now, you're not going to see that show's never coming back. You know
I
what
mean, yeah, it could even be a Netflix situation where we just never go back to the edge because it gets canceled.
100%.
Yeah.
This set has captured this thematically. This set has captured a lot of what I like in sci-fi. It has a little bit of doesn't take itself too seriously, but also some like really like in the universe sci-fi, the grandeur of the design of all the spaceships, the planets.
It has some fun concepts.
The open-endedness of sci-fi, which is I want to learn more about these things, which is very classic. If I get into a thing, I want to learn more about it. Like when you first get into Star Wars and you watch the movies, this establishes a plot line, but you'd love to learn more about the Star Wars universe, what goes on with Tatooine, what's Han Solo's backstory, who are the Jedi, what are the Sith. In Dune, you learn about this universe, but I want to know more. I want to know more about the lore of Arrakis or who the Emperor is. This is Edge of Eternity is these interesting characters and these alien races. I want to know more about what's going on in the planets. I want to know more about this sci-fi setting. Why do these people exist?
Yeah.
And that's very much me sucking myself in, and I'm like really enjoying this set.
For sure, yeah. And there's a lot of like interesting points that could make interesting stories of tension in this plot. There's also a bunch
Maybe
of
the
side
end story
stories that I
doesn't
haven't
matter
touched
ultimately.
on. All the side stories are just like unique perspectives of the alien races. Like there's the Eumidians, which are the insect people. They're barely even touched on in the story. We get one chapter.
Yeah, and they're such a big part of the character
cards,
base and the
yeah.
commander deck and stuff, right?
Well, the two commander decks feature robots and insects, both of which barely factor into the story or the setting. The Eumidians are like an edge-spanning race that they seed planets or did seed planets fucking long ago with like big old seed pods, and then after those planets become almost hospitable, those seed pods wake up and then they terraform a planet. Right.
Whoa.
So they're
Is that how they spread their influence over the universe?
Yeah. And they're currently terraforming what used to be like an ice planet and turning it into like a lush forest sustainable for life. And then there's the Kavu on the planet of Kaveron. They were super big into mining and they were super like gung-ho about it. They accidentally cracked their own planet in half. And then they then went, oh shit, we've cracked our planet. Let's mine even harder to then gain minerals to then build a technology that'll hold one half of it together and the other half can just kind of like float there.
Slowly
like a
float
weird
away.
thing. Yeah. And so then they see the Eumidians wake up and start colonizing this previously inhospitable planet and they're like, we want that. And the Eumidians are like, fuck off, we've been here for millions of years.
Yeah.
And the Kavu were like, yeah, but we just lost our planet. You guys just woke up. And so like there's now like a tension between those where
Right.
the Kavu refer to the both halves of their planet as Kaveron before and Kaveron now. And they refer to the Eumidians planet as Kaveron tomorrow.
They've already in their culture
Yeah,
established as we want that.
they're like, that's good. That's where we're going to go. Right. So like there's a bunch of stuff going on there.
See, that's interesting. That's an interesting plot line.
Yeah,
that could be
yeah.
a fascinating bit of like story lore.
For sure.
I think that's the biggest thing we come across in so many of these magic stories. There's whole chunk sides where they could be completely its own story, and someone could go ahead and flesh that out and make something really interesting out of it, but you never come back to
You
it.
just
It's
don't have,
such a
the
shame.
writers just don't have the time. They have to keep
Yeah.
pushing on with whatever the storyline is.
Because individually, like if you were, it's a bit hard to do with like a humans for TV show, but you'd change those two races rather than being Kavu and the insect guys to just be humans if you want to make a show out of it.
Yeah.
But that story itself is incredibly is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a big part is like our own historical level of colonization and coming in and like, you know, ruining something that are like maybe what you'd call like a native species has been trying to achieve harmony for a long time. And then you have an invasive species coming or like race coming in and completely like trying to demolish everything and learning zero lessons from destroying their previous planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
It's the nature of the Kabu to destroy what they have.
Yeah.
And
the consumption
unintentionally as well, there's kind of like a semi-sympathetic part to it as well, where they're like, as our society was developing, we realized, oh shit, we've gone past
You
the
play
point
Mass
of no
Effect,
return. Yeah,
Matt.
Yeah.
You know the species I'm thinking of?
the
Krogan.
the Krogan, yeah, like the big shark
Yeah,
people kind of. Yeah. Where like they became so much of a threat that the
other universes banded together to stop them.
to
And
sterilize them.
There's a sympathetic thing of like their culture has been devastated by the other universes.
Completely devastated. They
But,
haven't had
it's
children.
in their nature to consume and destroy everything. So it's like on one side, it's like, well, you know.
Yeah, they
It's almost like when you have a species come in, like it's not native, but it's not out there. That species, like, like in Australia, it happens a lot.
It's like us culling camels, you know?
Yeah, 100%,
You know, like
yeah.
the camels aren't doing anything wrong, but we got to cull them.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Or, we introduced cane toads, right?
Yeah.
And the moment as an Australian you see a cane toad, your blood pressure rises, but it's like not
You
technically
hunt
the
it
fault
into the
of
highway.
Yeah,
cane
and toad
toad.
didn't do shit.
Yeah. Like the cane toad population has gotten so big now, apparently, that they regularly
do we have much
cannibalize.
cane toads in WA?
WA's it's getting worse in the north areas, but
yeah.
it's still not as bad as is in like Queensland.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like it's on the watch, right? Like if it tips, it
Because in
becomes a
Queensland,
problem.
it's quite widespread.
In parts of Queensland, it's so bad. They build dens. They build dens on the roads, and the roads fucking collapse.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
you can look up videos on YouTube of like somebody pulling they notice there's so much noise in their backyard from toads, so they'll like empty out their fish pond, and then they drain the fish pond, pull the fish pond out, and they'll empty it, and there's just like 50 toads in there
Hanging out.
and they're all like they're not small, man. They're
No, they're big.
Yeah, they're like
they're
footballs.
chunky fuckers.
Yeah.
You see videos of people driving along roads, and it's like
Anything
pop,
eat
pop,
the
pop,
cane
pop,
toads?
pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop, pop,
Anything-
as they drive over them.
Anything eat the cane toads?
None.
Yeah, no, they do now. The
really?
magpies have actually cane toads are such a prevalent problem, and have been here for enough time that magpies have figured out how to flip them over and eat their bellies.
Oh, without getting the poisonous
Without
bits.
getting the poisonous
Yeah,
bits.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they've adapted a behavior to figure them out.
Yeah,
but it
makes
might be
sense.
one of these things where it's like, I don't know, maybe it'll work itself out after a couple hundred years.
Yeah, but
Or thousands.
But they were magpies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Actually, it's very similar story. I was watching this little like I think it's a Netflix documentary on this fish where the fish had made itself poisonous, so other animals wouldn't eat it. But then the animals that lived in its like ecosystem just learned how to eat the parts that weren't poisonous.
Yep.
But now the fish are so poisonous they kind of kill each other when they're trying to mate.
Oh,
so it's
God.
like
They're like, fuck, go back.
yeah, like it didn't help them whatsoever. Like it's made it. They're just still edible, but they can't fuck now.
You evolved too far gone. Damn it. And then humans found it delicious. And we started fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a singular like theme or singular plot point that was your favorite of Edge of Eternities? Like really stood out for you? That was notable? Or maybe even a bit of like tidbit of lore?
Yeah, it's probably the Kavu, just as like
Yeah.
a general theme. But there is one particular tidbit of lore that stood out to me, aside from the cats can natively planeswalk thing, that was like so utterly baffling as a plot point that I can't get my mind off it, right? And so you know how I said that there's very few legendary creatures in this set that are not like this small group of characters.
Yeah.
One of those is the red-white legendary, right? The lobster chef.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah, the chef guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The lobster chef is a chef for the black hole death cult. They are a lesbian lobster species that is not in any of the planets around this system. They have traveled from far away because their wife committed suicide by jumping into a black hole. They are now trying to work within the organization up the ranks through the like cafeteria staff to figure out how to pull people back from black holes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck is
By working in the organization, you can get enough information.
Yeah.
Eventually.
and like make enough well, okay, money doesn't really exist in this universe either. There's kind of like this different societal thing where everything is based around favors, right? Like favors are currency.
Right.
So Tezzeret is poor as shit when he comes into here because he has no social currency whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, like, so there's just this fucking one. They were like, okay, the one unique like legend that we're gonna put into the main set is this like funny little lobster lady who has a wife that committed suicide and is like working as a like chef for a death cult.
You know, like it's a fairly common trope in like comedy, like as a comedy character. Whereas I like the idea, you know, there's these two like ultimate races who I think is like all like competing sides that are fighting with each other.
Yeah.
And then there's the lobster who, in her mind, she's like the main character of her story. And like, you know, on the death cult, they're having like a staff meeting, and the catering person's coming in, and they're like talking about how they're going to take over this section of thing.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of lingering too long, and they're kind of like, the other guy's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh no, they're going to catch me. But really, they're just not thinking about her at all. They're just seeing her, you know, her as the catering lady. You know, she's like, oh, I'm going to sneak in and trick them. And like, she's making all these plans, and the people are completely operating around her, ambivalent, you know?
Yeah, it's like
the catering lady is really awkward. She keeps trying to hang around our conversations. I want you to leave. Go away.
Imagine like there's a ship battle where like the number cults are like fight the summers. Sorry, I knew it was a mathematical thing. The summers like invade.
Oh my god, I just got it.
Yeah.
Some
and then
maths.
mono.
Yep.
The summers and then the monos, and they're fighting on the ship, and you know she thinks she's like escaping the battle and getting away, but really she's just been completely left alone because they think she's just like a tech worker. You know what I mean?
She thinks she's sneaking away, but it's just because no one knew that she was there.
Yeah.
Right? Like she's just part of the background crew.
100%.
Or like it'd be a thing where you'd like tune out of a monoist conversation like into her internal monologue, and it's like way deeper and darker and more serious than anything.
And the guy's just waiting
about.
for his like sushi or something to be handed across.
Yeah, and then she's like,
That lobster is trying to get her wife back.
Because her wife committed suicide by jumping into a black hole and encountered instant spaghettification.
Also, she committed suicide, right? So it's her wishes.
Yeah, turns out
It probably wasn't a great marriage.
the lobster lady's just like a hard stalker.
It's one of those things, right? Whereas like I think her wife was probably a part of this death cult, and it's one of those things in the death cult that like, the world is going to become black holes, so we can probably just jump into them. And we prioritize personal choice. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Do you have a card that was your favorite?
Card that was my favorite.
While Matt thinks of that, what I'm hoping for is when they return to the story, there's a card where the lobster wife is found with Sammy's cat.
Yeah. There needs to be a continuation of this lobster.
Yeah,
lady.
she's just like she's like cooking for a different restaurant.
Yeah. I do want to come back to the plane because now I want the resolution of what happened to the Kavu and the insect people. Did they get a resolution to their planets? Did lobster lady get her wife back? Are those people on the ship still trying to figure out what the fuck happened to the Endstone? Is Tezzeret still lonely?
Yeah.
So
Is Tezzeret still lonely?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I like. The thing is, I haven't encountered much of this set in practice yet. I didn't get to go to any pre-releases. I haven't played Magic in weeks, maybe even a month. I think probably there's a lot of things in this set that I'm like, that's cool from a lore perspective, right? Like there is a mythic rare in this set that's like a giant fuck off space worm, and you might remember at some point I mentioned there was two walls walling in the edge. There was the Chaos Wall and the Worm Wall, and that's the thing is that there's like giant fucking space worms off on this huge asteroid belt.
So
like,
literal worms?
Literal worms.
I thought you meant like wormholes.
No. It's like giant like space worms.
There's a green card where you can kind of see it like flummoxing off into like space.
Well,
there's like a tongue.
That is the pizza.
That is the pizza.
Biting the pizza.
The New York special.
So it's like there's whole giant concepts out there that are like
Cosmic sized.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to go into. I like Sammy as a character. Sammy is really cool in this set. I like them a lot. I like you get to see sort of their development as a ship captain. They're very kind of like gung ho and like Han Solo-esque, but they've got more depth to them than that, which is cool. They're not just like a sort of insert character where they make them the swashbuckling, rogue.
Yeah. You're like just against the edge.
And
of the
I really like Tanook.
Awesome. Yeah, Tanook's also quite a good card. Yeah, solid. Gives
Yeah,
everything haste.
Well, he got two cards. Both of them. Are good.
The mono red one, I think you'll see as a mono red commander very consistently.
And I think the uncommon red green one is like a really good commander as well. It's just landfall ping people.
Overall, as a set, so we're dipping back into gameplay wise now.
Yep.
Edge of Eternities as a set has quite a synergistic set. I think we've had very positive feedback over the drafts and the limited environment.
Oh, absolutely.
the set very much is designed to be for standard. There's a lot of really powerful cards to inject and change up the standard metagame, but there are some standout cards as well. For Commander, we have, say, the cycle of planets that are designed to be reminiscent of old reserve list cards as a theoretical reprint. So we have
you've got to station them to get up to
correct.
those
We have
powerful
Evendo,
effects.
which is Gaia's Cradle, but it's the planet, and instead you station it to get the Gaia's Cradle effect.
It's also cool because now having a bit of an understanding of the story that like Matt's given us, you talk about these planets, they're supposed to be powered up before they can be used properly. And it's very cool. It's like, you've got the alien guys versus the Kavu guys, and they're both trying to like prepare their planets individually, which is like stationing them up. And then you have the Sumists and the Monoists like also, basically preparing for war, which is you're effectively stationing up these different lands, which is like it's the story bleeding into the actual functions of the cards in a game is very, very cool.
Very cool.
And you'll probably see like the names of those cards actually makes a lot more sense now. Like the one you mentioned, Evendo. Evendo is the one where the Eumidians are growing it up. And it's called Evendo Waking Haven. Right?
Yeah,
it's a lush green planet.
The Cavaron planet, the Kavu, is called Memorial World because only half of it exists, right?
Yeah.
Like those names make a lot more sense when you're like, oh yeah, that's the lore behind them. So it's an interesting set. I like it. The story was compelling, well told, bad ending.
Yeah.
Like dense as fuck to get through. There was definitely a whole bunch of paragraphs that I had to read and then reread to be like, what the fuck is happening? Or go back to the previous one before I clued into the trick of, oh yeah, the Endstone is rewriting everything. Whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Right. Now we have, in end of September, I think it's towards the end of September, which is 2 months away, we have the Marvel set coming out, and this is Marvel's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So we recently had the spoiler for the Soul Stone, a brand new artifact for coming in the Spider-Man set. And if you don't know, the Soul Stone is part of the Infinity Stones in Marvel, which means that it implicates that we will get more of the Infinity Gems.
Hey, what if that the guy that came out of the table is like the interpretation of how it, like the person viewing the card sees the character. But what if it's that magnet guy that the witch lady marries? And it's him.
Oh, Vision?
Yeah, it's Vision collecting the stone, and then that stone is one of the Marvel stones.
They're tying the Marvel universe into the Magic the Gathering.
That is the
universe.
wildest way I've ever heard the Vision described. The magnet guy?
Yeah. I didn't get you until you said married the Red Witch.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
there's only really one Red Witch.
Well, the proper magnet guy is in DC, right? So it's like he's the Marvel version.
No, that's
of the Magneto.
Magneto.
Well, where's he from?
Magnet Man is Magneto's. He's X-Men.
He's also Marvel.
I mean, are you talking about like the Red Tornado? Like the robot? Like,
I
because
don't
he's
know,
kind of
brother.
closer to that.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to see the other Infinity
We're
Stones.
likely going to see more of the Infinity Stones,
But
which
trickled,
means potentially more Marvel sets down the line. Marvel
definitely.
Spider-Man is likely going to be quite a large set. How do you feel about this one so far, coming in, Matt?
Big Spider-Man fan or not really?
I am a big Spider-Man fan. I've definitely read a lot of stuff. Spider-Man, I enjoy stories. I really like Venom. I really like Carnage. I really enjoy Gwen Stacy as a character as well, like Ghost Spider. I've been able to kind of get into like a Spider-Man kick again with my son getting into Spider-Man for the first time. So we've been able to watch some pretty cool things. I don't necessarily recommend that anyone who doesn't have kids goes out and watches Spidey and His Amazing Friends, but it's a compelling show sometimes.
Okay.
They do some fun things.
It's the animated one, right?
Yeah. When as an adult, you're like, oh, I know that character. And that's their interpretation of it, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty fun, right? And then they turn into dinosaurs, and you're like, oh, well, that's a fun
Children's
way to do
show
it.
still.
What's your number one Marvel character to see on a card then? What are you looking for?
For me, it was Spider-Man.
Who was Spider-Man?
For me, my number one Marvel character, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like, I grew up reading Spider-Man comics, so Spider-Man's big for me. And for me, if it's DC, it'd be Batman. So for me, Spider-Man coming up on a card was very cool. I'm really enjoying the art and design of it all. I'm quite liking the way they're doing that comic book paneling for sagas. A lot of the art is very comic book inspired, even by the font choice. And just the little tidbits of references to the Spider-Man lore and history has been really fun. Like, they spoiled one of the sagas is Kraven's Hunt.
Yes.
When he was able to take down Black Suit Spider-Man.
Kraven's Last Hunt, and all the chapters reflect like the
correct.
They're
And
thematic to the story.
And it was really cool to go back and be like, I remember that storyline when Kraven became Spider-Man for a little bit to kind of take over the mantle, and then Spider-Man dug his way out of the grave to go then take revenge on Kraven. That was cool.
You get that fantastic like comic book cover of
The classic
the
one.
black symbiote,
and I believe
Spider-Man
it's a
being
McFarlane panel.
It might be.
Because Todd McFarlane was responsible for Black Suit Spider-Man. Oh no, the design of a bunch of it. So
Yeah, I know he was especially responsible for the way that Spider-Man's web looked for a long time,
Yes,
where like
super
everyone,
spindly.
it was all like lots of like really complex like spindles and things like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't just one long string because he's like, oh, that'd be too thin.
But
So it's like actually like 7 or 8 strings.
Yeah.
the whole opening up of the Marvel multiverse in Magic, whether you like it or not, does lend itself for some really cool designs. I think, and I would also love to see more Marvel characters. Like we did see Wolverine on a card. I do love my Wolverine. So.
I'm really looking forward to eventually seeing X-Men. X-Men has always been my favorite property in Marvel. So I would love to see Colossus on a card. I'd love to see Kitty Pryde on a card. Those are probably my favorites.
I'm a big so for me, longtime comic nerd. I love Jim Lee. Jim Lee was responsible partially for the design and creation of X-Men, and back when he used to work for Marvel. And then now Jim Lee, then a long time ago, Jim Lee also moved over to DC, and now he's the creative lead of DC, and he's responsible for a lot of designs of Batman. And his art for me has been very iconic. So the potential to see a Jim Lee art on a Magic the Gathering card is like my two hobbies colliding.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think for the most part, arts in this set are homages to or sort of compilations of old artworks or like replications.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think we actually necessarily get to see that many like reused license art in this set. But
True.
Yeah. I guess the one thing like I'm kind of confused by in this set, there's a cool panorama that you can get by like putting a bunch of the Spider-Verse characters together. But the front and back side of transform cards are used to make the panorama.
So you actually
need to have 2 cards.
multiples of.
You need to have a Gwen Stacy and then also Ghost Spider, and you need to have a Miles, and then you also need to have Ultimate Spider-Man.
So I guess while on the podcast as well, we'll briefly mention there doesn't look like to be a lot of stock of Marvel Spider-Man.
Yes.
It looking like the prices are before the sets even released, the prices are starting to hike pretty high. Stock levels are up in question. We're not quite sure how it's going to go. So keep your eye out for it. It's going to be a very, very popular set. And I imagine the chase cards, which will likely be the comic versions of the commanders, the comic versions of like Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales, they'll probably end up being pretty chase. Outside of the obvious big chases, the Soul Stone. The Soul Stone is an absolute ludicrous artifact.
And we've got that like special version of it that like it might be a serialized one, it might be a 1 of 1.
We don't know if it's a 1 of 1. So how do you feel? I have contentions with the design of the Soul Stone. A 2-mana mana rock that is indestructible. This will see play, and as upside, this will see play everywhere. Right? Yeah. Like these 2-mana mana rocks.
Does it tap for color or
it taps for black?
So any black deck, it's kind of a no-brainer to chuck a Soul Stone in.
Got it.
My guess is that because there are 6 Soul Stones, we'll have 1 tap for each color of Magic, and then 1 tap for colorless.
And we'll see these everywhere for a long time.
I'm not entirely sure which one would
because they are because most 2-mana mana rocks have some
what
limitations.
Exactly does it do?
It's you can probably pull it up, Matt.
So it's like
off the top of my head, it's a 1 and a black mana for indestructible artifact mana rock that taps for black mana, and it also has 6 and a black. You sacrifice a creature and you trigger its Eternalize or whatever it is, and the Eternalize effect is on your end step.
So little correction. I guess you exile a creature you control,
right,
and you do a mechanic that I guess is unique to these stones. It'll probably show up on a bunch of them where you harness the Soul Stone,
harnessed,
and it has like an infinity symbol. And then it like triggers the infinity symbol, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So what we're looking at here is just a 2-mana mono rock that eventually you can pay 7 and exile one of your own creatures to then start reanimating something every turn.
On an indestructible artifact.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's useful. It's like very generically useful. I mean, it is 7 mana, tap and exile a creature.
I don't assume the Eternalized part. The Eternalized part is just the upside. The fact that it's just a 2-mana mana rock that taps for mana with no downside.
Yeah,
And
realistically,
I think like it's unfortunate when not unfortunate, but like in Commander we talk about we don't want to. There used to be Soul Ring, and a Soul Ring was auto include in 99% of decks. It's not like there's some green decks where they don't care, right? But most time it's going into every deck, and even like most green decks are still good, right? And then you have Arcane Signet come along, and you'd be like, well, this really goes in every single deck. Even for even monocolored decks, it's still a 2-color ramp spell, just like a Cultivate, effectively, right? Now, the question becomes: do you really want to, when you build Commander and you have the artistry inside you to produce something really fun, exciting, unique, but you've only going to get 98 slots now instead of 100 because the 2 auto includes coming.
You got the auto includes.
You don't want auto includes to extend much further, and they've openly admitted that Soul Rings and Arcane Signets were a poor design choice. Like some, they've some like one of the designers said it out loud on some video, and it's like said it was unfortunate the way that it was implemented, and they probably wouldn't do that again.
It's probably Gavin said that. Gavin Verhey.
The Arcane
He's
Signet
much more
itself
open
in
about
design
that.
was like a bit of a
I wonder
I think it was like a concession to make it work in the Brawl format, and the Brawl format just like didn't take off.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh shit, we've made ramifications for ourselves for everything else.
for everything else now, and now every commander deck they print, it makes it easy when you're deciding what cards to put in a precon. But every Arcane
it's also a
every single
easy
one.
like cheap color fixing for precons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like then we have the Final Fantasy, and there's those colored stones, and I know that they are 4 mana, but they all do reduce mana and provide a mana.
So they're more limited in scope because they kind of want you to be 1 to 2 colors.
So and then there's like these new ones come along. Maybe it's to a point where it's like they give you so many of these options which feel like auto includes. You have to go back to the drawing board and decide which ones you put in.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
eventually the auto includes start competing with each other for space.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Granted, these mana rocks do require color in the first place to play them.
Yeah.
Unlike,
Which
say,
is-
signals or talismans.
Which means they don't technically fix you on
Yeah.
color. They only ever provide you with something you already had.
So I do like that, and I like we've talked about for probably 5 years now, where the design space for 3 color mana rocks, doing something more interesting to push you away from some of the less interesting but effective 2 mana ones in Commander, where you can afford to be just a little bit slower in non-competitive form, like in scenes. So it's like maybe if they start to provide multiple options for these kind of same slots, then maybe we'll eventually see more diversity. But it just takes a really long walk to get to that part of the journey.
does.
You know?
And it's a long time for us to eventually get to that point, because in the meantime you have like 10 to 25 auto includes.
Yes, yeah.
And we need to get to a point where there's 40 auto includes, and you have to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I've got to
Because it's very much like you build like a couple color deck, and you think about like Swords of Plowshares.
You've got your Blasphemous Act, your Chaos Warp, your
And you start to find like out of your if 35 lands, you've got a third gone, and then a third of them are now roughly hard includes is what's left of you, the design space to build your deck around.
Yeah.
All right, we're at that 1 hour 30 mark. So, any last words? How do we feel about Edges of Eternity? How do we feel about the storyline going so far? I'm still quite fascinated I want to know more about loot. I want to know about edges. I want to know about all that, what's going on. You quite like the set, Danny. Any words about it?
I think the being here and busy and in the shop and not getting to experience everything in like a massive dump of a way means that when you're sitting at the table, I'll still come across cards if someone's played it. It's like a new edge card. You're like, oh, that's really cool, and you get to check it out. And I think even just being in the shop, the includes from Edge of Eternities straight into decks has been maybe a little bit more like the Final Fantasy stuff is great, but I feel like a lot of people building Final Fantasy decks are very specific.
Yes.
Whereas like maybe you don't see as many of the cards bleeding through 100% into other things yet. But the Edge of Eternity stuff, you see people slamming cards into like Commander decks straight away, and it's always fun to see
Full
something new
game.
across the
Plus the
field.
art. Once again, this set had some strong push for art. All the lands were featuring kind of planets and design. Really kind of give you that. This is a space sci-fi style set. Showing off the planets.
Excited now to go back with the lore that Matt's given us, and then look at which of those planets combine.
Now
which part of
I'm
the
more
story.
curious about what's going on. So, how about you, Matt? Any last words?
Yeah, I would say that I really enjoy this set. I think it's full of depth that can be plumbed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit, I guess, like not fully satisfied that it didn't plumb those
The way it
depths.
ended, yeah.
But that's kind of, it's interesting in and of itself, and I'm an old enough and mature enough player that I can be like, okay, it's fine that we didn't get everything all at once.
Yeah.
It is okay to take our time with this kind of thing and to step off the gas. And there's so many different things that show up on like commons and uncommons in this set that you're just like, wait, I didn't even know that was a thing. There are dragons that exist in this space. They're like nebula dragons. They're like fucking made out of space matter. I don't know what the fuck a cosmogoyf is.
Oh yeah,
Right?
The
Like-
Tarmogoyf ate, and now
Because
it's a planet.
They did. You're right.
Eating
Like
a
the
planet.
same way there was only one Eldrazi and one Sliver. There's like maybe 1 or 2 dragons. There's the one Goyf.
Yeah,
and it's like
what
they-
does it implicate for Tarmogoyfs? Are they cosmic beings?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like
is-
are they naturally occurring, but then they can also occur in space? And there's the whole thing with the Kavu, right? Like there are, there's humans and insects and stuff like that. But Tezzeret comments where he's like, "Oh, I met Kavu on Dominaria. I always thought you were kind of a unique." He's like, "Yeah, you were dumb beasts, but you were a biologically interesting design. I guess nature agreed." right? Where it's like, oh yeah, they introduced you on both Dominaria and on this, and then they developed differently.
Yeah, it's almost like the splitting of like evolution from like a creature that one of them will come out of like the ocean into like a swamp area and one will come into a desert area, and they'll eventually evolve into slightly different things.
Yeah.
And I guess the ones in space had to learn a lot more shit because they were in space.
Yeah, or you have the, cause I think that's divergent evolution. You also have convergent evolution, where two entirely separate species develop along similar paths, like how sharks and dolphins shared like nothing in common, but they developed similar body shapes.
Yeah. To survive the environment.
Yeah, because nature goes, yeah, this is actually a pretty efficient way to do that.
Yeah, true. Their environment shapes how it's going to look.
All right. Thank you very much for jumping on, Matt. Always a pleasure to have you on. I feel like I do the same thing as Danny now, where I don't dive too much into the lore because I know that eventually I have Matt jump on the episode and I can ask questions a one-on-one. I feel like I learn a lot more about the story and I get more engaged into the overall Magic the Gathering storyline this way as well. So always a pleasure. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining in. Take care, everyone.
Legend. Appreciate it. Thanks,
Catch you
Matt.
around.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Ciao.